Before you sleep tonight, before the mind starts replaying everything it couldn't fix today, before the heart tightens for reasons you can't fully explain, pause here. Because what you are feeling right now is not random. That quiet heaviness, that restlessness without a clear cause, that sense that something inside you needs relief, not answers. Some storms don't arrive loudly. They don't shout. They don't break things. They sit quietly inside the chest, waiting to be noticed. And Allah notices them before you do. Tonight, Allah is not asking you to understand your situation. He is not asking you to figure out the future. He is not asking you to be strong again. He is asking you to remember Him, so He can take over what you were never meant to carry alone. This dhikr is not for people who have everything together. It is for hearts that have been patient longer than they should have had to be, for minds that are tired of thinking, for souls that want peace without pretending everything is fine. If you feel drawn here, it is because Allah is offering you something rare tonight. Not a solution you must chase, not an answer you must force, but a quiet hand placed over your heart and the permission to finally rest. Stay with me, recite this tonight, and let Allah do what only He can do. This storm is a signal, not a failure. What you are feeling right now is not weakness. It is not a lack of faith. It is not punishment. It is not Allah being displeased with you. It is overflow. There comes a moment when the heart does not break loudly. It does not collapse dramatically. It simply becomes full of patience that has been stretched too long, full of strength that has been used without rest, full of silence where words were swallowed again and again. You kept going when you were tired. You trusted when answers were delayed. You stayed composed while carrying questions no one else saw. And slowly, quietly, the heart reached its limit. This storm is not rebellion. It is the heart saying, I have done my part. I need relief now. And understand this clearly. Allah does not shame hearts that grow tired. Allah created the heart, knowing it has capacity and a limit. That limit is not a flaw. It is a signal that you are human, a signal that you have been strong for too long without being held, a signal that it is time for Allah to intervene gently, not test harder. If Allah wanted to break you, He would not soften your heart toward remembrance. The fact that you are here, listening, searching, breathing through heaviness, is already proof that Allah is responding, because hearts that are abandoned do not seek Allah. Only hearts that are still being cared for are guided back to Him. So do not accuse yourself tonight. Do not replay your struggles as failures. Do not turn exhaustion into self-blame. This storm is not a sign that you are losing your way. It is a sign that Allah is preparing to carry what you can no longer hold. And this dhikr is not a command. It is an invitation to finally set the weight down. Allah calms the heart before He changes the situation. Many people wait for peace to arrive only after their situation improves, believing that relief comes when the problem is solved, when the answer appears, or when the uncertainty finally ends. But Allah, in His wisdom, often works in the opposite order. He knows that if the heart remains restless, even the greatest blessings can feel heavy, and even long-awaited answers can arrive without joy. So before Allah changes what is happening around you, He begins by changing what is happening within you. Allah understands that a calm heart can carry delay without breaking, but an anxious heart struggles even when relief is close. That is why He does not always remove the storm outside first. Instead, He quiets the storm inside, allowing the heart to breathe again before the circumstances shift. This is not neglect, it is preparation. Allah is protecting you from being overwhelmed by the very thing you are asking for. When the heart is unsettled, it rushes, panics, and fears loss even before anything has happened. But when Allah grants calm first, the heart becomes stable, grounded, and able to receive what comes next with trust rather than fear. This dhikr is part of that process. It does not exist to erase your situation instantly. It exists to change how the situation rests within your chest, how it moves through your thoughts, and how it no longer dominates your inner world. Sometimes Allah delays the outward change because the heart is still fragile, still tense, still carrying expectations that would turn blessings into pressure. So He softens you first. He eases your breathing. He slows the racing thoughts. He creates space inside your chest so that when change arrives, it does not arrive as shock, but as peace. This is why, when you recite this dhikr, you may notice that nothing outside has shifted yet, but something inside has begun to settle. The urgency fades. The tightness loosens. The constant need to control starts to weaken. This is not imagination. This is Allah gently telling your heart, I am already handling this. A calm heart is not a distracted heart. It is a heart that trusts Allah enough to stop fighting the unseen. And when Allah grants that calm, He is not delaying your answer. He is aligning you with it. He is ensuring that when the situation changes, it does not reopen old wounds or create new fears. Instead, it arrives in a heart that is ready, steady, and protected. So if tonight you feel peace arriving before clarity, understand that this is not the end of the process. It is the beginning of it. Allah is not ignoring your dua. He is answering it in the order that will bring you the most mercy. First, He calms you. Then, when the time is right, He changes what needs to be changed. This dhikr ends the inner war with qadr. Many of the storms that exhaust the heart are not created by pain itself, but by the quiet battle that forms inside when the heart argues with what has already been written. Qadr becomes heavy not because it is cruel, but because the mind keeps asking why now, why this way, and why the timing feels so difficult to accept. The heart wants reassurance, the mind wants clarity, and the soul becomes caught between what it wishes and what is unfolding. This inner war slowly drains peace. It keeps the heart alert, tense, and constantly bracing for disappointment. Even moments of calm feel temporary, because the struggle is not with events, but with acceptance. When the heart resists qadr, every delay feels personal, every silence feels threatening, and every unanswered question feels like a loss. This dhikr was not given to silence your questions. It was given to soften your resistance. When you repeat it, you are not denying your feelings, and you are not forcing acceptance. You are simply stepping out of the argument. You are telling your heart that it no longer needs to defend itself against the unseen, and that it can rest in Allah's wisdom, even without understanding it fully. As the dhikr continues, something subtle happens inside. The need to fight fades. The urgency to make sense of everything loosens its grip. The heart begins to recognize that qadr is not an enemy to defeat, but a reality to trust. This shift does not come with loud certainty or sudden answers. It comes as relief. Relief from carrying questions that were never meant to be answered immediately. When the heart stops arguing with Allah's decree, the storm loses its fuel. The tension that once lived in every thought begins to dissolve. What remains is not passivity, but peace. A peace that comes from knowing that Allah sees what you do not, plans what you cannot, and protects you even through outcomes you did not choose. This dhikr gently reminds the heart that qadr is not random and not careless. It is guided by mercy, shaped by wisdom, and delivered at the exact moment it is meant to arrive. The heart does not need to rush ahead or look back in regret. It only needs to stay present with Allah, trusting that what is written will not miss it, and what misses it was never written for it. By ending the inner war, this dhikr frees the heart from exhaustion. It allows you to live the moment without constantly resisting it. It replaces tension with trust, struggle with surrender, and fear with calm certainty. And when the heart finally stops fighting qadr, it finds something it has been searching for all along: rest in Allah's plan. Overthinking stops when control returns to Allah. Overthinking is not a sign that the heart cares too much. It is a sign that the heart has taken on a role it was never meant to carry. When the mind keeps replaying conversations, imagining outcomes, and scanning the future for danger, it is not because you lack trust in Allah, but because you have been trying to protect yourself in a world that feels uncertain. The heart becomes vigilant, constantly preparing for pain, constantly attempting to prevent loss, and constantly searching for certainty where none was promised. This constant mental effort slowly exhausts the soul. It creates the illusion of control while quietly draining peace. The more the heart tries to manage the unseen, the heavier the burden becomes. Overthinking grows strongest when the heart forgets its limits and tries to take responsibility for outcomes that only Allah can shape. This dhikr gently interrupts that cycle. It does not argue with your thoughts or force the mind into silence. Instead, it shifts ownership. Each repetition is a quiet acknowledgement that control does not belong to you and that it never truly did. The heart is reminded that its role is to trust, to strive where it can, and to leave the results to Allah without fear. As control returns to Allah, the urgency inside the mind begins to loosen. The need to anticipate every possibility fades because the heart no longer feels responsible for guarding the future. This does not make you careless or passive. It makes you grounded. You still take action where action is required, but you release the pressure of outcomes, knowing that Allah's plan is wiser than any scenario your mind could create. Overthinking ends not when answers appear, but when the heart accepts its position as a servant, not a controller. This acceptance brings relief because it aligns the heart with reality. Allah alone sees the full picture. Allah alone knows what is coming, and Allah alone has the power to protect you from what you cannot foresee. Through this dhikr, the heart slowly learns to step back. It learns that it does not need to predict tomorrow to survive today. It learns that safety comes not from constant analysis, but from reliance on Allah. As this reliance deepens, thoughts lose their sharpness. They pass through the mind without anchoring themselves in fear. When control is returned to Allah, the mind no longer races ahead. It becomes quieter, steadier, and more present. The heart breathes more deeply, no longer bracing for impact. And in that space, peace begins to settle, not because life has become predictable, but because the heart has finally remembered where true control belongs. This dhikr works even if you feel emotionless. There are moments when the heart does not ache, does not cry, and does not even feel restless. Instead, it feels distant, quiet, and almost empty. This emotional numbness often confuses people, making them question whether their faith has weakened or whether their connection to Allah has faded. But numbness is not the absence of Iman. It is often the result of the heart protecting itself after carrying too much for too long. When emotions shut down, it is usually because the heart has been overwhelmed. It grows tired of reacting, tired of hoping, and tired of feeling disappointment. So it becomes still, not out of rebellion, but out of exhaustion. Allah understands this state more deeply than anyone else, because He created the heart and knows how it responds to prolonged strain. This dhikr is especially powerful in moments like these because it does not depend on emotional intensity. It does not require tears, passion, or focus that feels out of reach. It works even when the words feel flat and the heart feels distant. Allah does not measure remembrance by how strongly it is felt, but by the direction of the heart toward Him. When you recite this dhikr without emotion, you are still turning back to Allah. You are still choosing Him, even when your inner world feels quiet and unresponsive. That choice itself carries immense weight. Allah values return more than performance, sincerity more than sensation. Over time, this dhikr begins to thaw what has been frozen inside. Not suddenly and not forcefully, but gently and safely. The heart does not need to be shaken awake. It needs to feel secure enough to open again. Dhikr provides that security. It tells the heart that it does not need to defend itself or hide behind numbness anymore. Even if you do not feel peace immediately, the dhikr is still working. It is laying a foundation beneath the surface, restoring balance and softness in ways that are not always visible. Many hearts rediscover emotion only after calm has been restored, not before. Allah prioritizes stability before sensitivity. So do not stop reciting because you feel nothing. Silence does not mean absence. Stillness does not mean rejection. Sometimes Allah is simply allowing your heart to rest before He returns its ability to feel. And when feeling does return, it comes with greater depth, clarity, and trust, rooted in a remembrance that remained steady even in emotional quiet. Why nighttime dhikr reaches deeper? Night carries a different weight than the day. During the day, the heart is surrounded by noise, expectations, and roles that must be performed. There are responsibilities to meet, conversations to manage, and emotions that must often be hidden. Strength is displayed outwardly, even when it feels fragile inside. But when night arrives, those layers fall away. The world grows quieter, and the heart is no longer required to hold itself together for anyone else. In this stillness, the heart becomes honest. It no longer pretends to be calm or composed. It no longer explains itself. What remains is the truth of how you feel, stripped of performance and distraction. This honesty is what gives nighttime dhikr its depth. Allah responds to sincerity more than to volume, and sincerity flows most naturally when the world is asleep. At night, thoughts slow down, not because problems disappear, but because the mind finally pauses long enough to feel their weight. This is why worries often surface more clearly after dark. But this is also why dhikr at night reaches places that daytime remembrance cannot. When you recite in the quiet, there is nothing competing for your attention. The words travel directly to the heart without interference. Nighttime dhikr allows the heart to be vulnerable in a way that daylight does not permit. You are not seeking validation, comfort, or understanding from people. You are standing before Allah alone, exactly as you are. This vulnerability opens the heart, making it more receptive to calm and reassurance. The remembrance becomes less about repetition and more about connection. Allah's mercy is especially near to hearts that remember Him in solitude. When no one is watching and no reward is expected from creation, the sincerity of the act increases. This sincerity deepens the impact of the dhikr, allowing it to settle more firmly within the chest. The heart feels seen, not judged, and held rather than tested. As the night progresses and the body grows still, the soul becomes more receptive. The distractions that once fueled anxiety lose their strength. Breathing becomes slower. Awareness turns inward. In this state, the heart can finally release what it has been holding tightly. Dhikr becomes a safe place to set those burdens down. This is why peace often arrives quietly at night, without announcement or intensity. It arrives as a sense of relief, a softening of tension, and a feeling of being accompanied. Nighttime dhikr reaches deeper because it meets the heart when it is most open, most truthful, and most in need of Allah's nearness. What happens inside the heart when you recite? When you begin to recite this dhikr, the change does not arrive as a sudden emotion or a dramatic shift. It starts quietly, almost unnoticed, because Allah often works in ways that do not demand attention. At first, the heart simply pauses. Thoughts that were rushing begin to slow, not because they are forced away, but because they are no longer being fed. The mind stops pushing forward, and the heart senses that it is no longer alone in carrying what it has been holding. As the recitation continues, the chest begins to loosen. The tightness that once sat there without explanation slowly eases. Breathing becomes deeper, more natural, no longer shallow or guarded. This physical change reflects a deeper spiritual one. The heart is recognizing safety. It is realizing that it does not need to stay alert or defensive because Allah is present and attentive. With that recognition comes a subtle shift in awareness. The urgency that once drove every thought begins to fade. Problems still exist, but they no longer dominate the inner space. They move to the background, no longer demanding immediate resolution. The heart stops bracing for impact and starts allowing moments of stillness to exist without fear. This is the stage where the soul begins to rest. Not because answers have arrived, but because trust has replaced tension. The heart senses that something greater is now holding the weight. It no longer feels responsible for fixing everything or understanding everything. The pressure lifts because responsibility has been returned to its rightful place. As this continues, the emotional noise softens. Fear loses its sharp edges. Worry becomes quieter. Even sadness, if present, feels less heavy and more bearable. The heart is not numbed, it is stabilized. Peace does not arrive as excitement or happiness. It arrives as balance, as the ability to exist without panic. Eventually, a gentle stillness settles in. This stillness is not emptiness, it is presence. The heart feels accompanied, supported, and watched over. This is why peace after dhikr feels different from distraction. Distraction pulls you away from reality, but dhikr anchors you within it while removing fear. What is happening inside you is not imagination and not coincidence. It is the heart responding to remembrance the way it was created to respond. Allah designed the heart to soften when it remembers Him. When you recite, you are activating that design. You are allowing the heart to return to its natural state, a state where it trusts Allah more than its own worries. And when the heart reaches that state, even briefly, it remembers something important. It remembers that peace does not come from control, certainty, or answers. It comes from nearness to Allah. That nearness is what you are feeling when the heart grows quiet. How to recite without forcing peace. Many people approach dhikr with the hidden pressure of wanting to feel something immediately. They recite while watching their own hearts, checking whether calm has arrived, wondering whether the words are working, or questioning why the storm has not yet disappeared. This silent pressure can unintentionally block the very peace they are seeking. Peace cannot be commanded. It must be allowed to arrive in its own time. Reciting this dhikr is not about achieving a result. It is about creating space. When you let go of expectations, the heart relaxes. When you stop demanding a feeling, the heart becomes open. Allah works most gently when the heart is not gripping tightly to outcomes. He brings calm not as a reward for effort, but as a gift to those who trust the process. Begin by reciting slowly, not to complete a number, but to allow the words to pass through you. Let each repetition settle before the next one begins. Allow moments of silence in between, because silence is not emptiness. Silence is where the heart listens. In those pauses, the soul adjusts and the chest begins to soften without being forced. Breathing plays a quiet role in this process. When the breath is slow and natural, the body signals safety to the heart. The heart, in turn, becomes more receptive. There is no need to control the breath or regulate it consciously. Simply notice it. With each exhale, allow tension to leave the chest without effort or struggle. If thoughts arise during recitation, do not fight them. Fighting thoughts gives them strength. Instead, allow them to pass without engagement, gently returning your focus to the words of remembrance. This return itself is an act of worship. Allah values the return more than uninterrupted focus. Understand that peace often arrives subtly. It may show itself as a reduction in urgency rather than a wave of calm. It may come as a sense of steadiness rather than emotional relief. These signs are not small, they are meaningful. Allah's peace does not overwhelm the heart. It stabilizes it. By reciting without force, you are telling your heart that it is safe to rest. You are giving Allah permission to work within you at the pace that is best for your healing. When peace arrives this way, it is not fragile. It does not vanish when the recitation ends. It stays because it was welcomed, not chased. If the storm softens but doesn't fully leave, there are times when you recite dhikr and notice that the storm does not disappear completely. The thoughts may still be present, the situation may remain unchanged, and the uncertainty may still exist. This can create confusion, making the heart wonder whether the remembrance worked or whether something is missing. But partial calm is not a sign of failure. It is often a sign of deeper work taking place. Allah does not always remove storms instantly, because some storms are not meant to be erased, but transformed. When the storm softens, it means the heart is learning how to carry life without breaking. It means Allah is strengthening you internally rather than distracting you externally. This kind of calm is quieter and slower, but it lasts longer. Softening is the beginning of healing. It is the stage where panic gives way to steadiness, where fear loses intensity, and where the heart stops feeling alone inside its struggle. The presence of remaining discomfort does not cancel the progress that has been made. It simply means that Allah is working with precision rather than speed. Sometimes Allah allows a portion of the storm to remain so that the heart continues to return to Him, not out of desperation, but out of connection. Continuous return builds reliance. Reliance builds strength. And strength allows the heart to face future trials with greater stability. This process also protects you from emotional dependency on immediate relief. If calm arrived fully and instantly every time, the heart might seek dhikr only for escape. But when calm unfolds gradually, the heart learns patience, trust, and resilience. It learns to remain connected to Allah even when the journey is ongoing. When you notice that the storm has softened, take that as a sign that Allah has heard you. He has entered the space where you are struggling. He has reduced the weight so that it no longer crushes you. The remaining discomfort is not abandonment. It is refinement. Over time, what once felt unbearable becomes manageable. What once dominated your thoughts becomes something you can carry without fear. And eventually, often without notice, the storm that once defined your inner world loses its presence altogether. Allah does this not by force, but by guiding the heart gently toward lasting peace. Ya Allah, you see what the heart carries even when the lips remain silent. You know the weight that words cannot explain and the tiredness that no one else notices. Tonight, I place everything before you without trying to organize it, justify it, or understand it fully. Ya Allah, quiet the noise inside my chest that keeps returning without invitation. Ease the thoughts that arrive late at night and leave the heart restless. Lift the heaviness that has been sitting quietly, pretending to be strength. Ya Allah, take what I was never meant to carry alone. Take the worries I replay. Take the questions I cannot answer. Take the fears I hide behind patience. Replace them with what only you can give. Replace anxiety with trust that feels safe. Replace tension with remembrance that feels close. Replace uncertainty with the comfort of knowing that you are in control even when I am not. Ya Allah, if you are delaying something I am asking for, then delay it with mercy. If you are protecting me from something I cannot yet see, then strengthen my heart to accept that protection. And if you are preparing me for what is coming, then prepare my heart before you change my situation. Ya Allah, let this dhikr settle gently inside me. Let it soften what has become hard from waiting. Let it heal what has become tired from hoping. Let it remind my heart that I am never unseen, never unheard, and never forgotten. Ya Allah, grant me peace that does not depend on outcomes. Grant me calm that remains even when answers are delayed. Grant me trust that holds steady when the path feels unclear. Tonight, Ya Allah, I rest my heart with you. I release control back to you. I accept your timing, your wisdom, and your care. Even when I do not fully understand them, let this night be lighter than the last. Let my heart wake with less fear than it slept with. And let your nearness be enough for me, now and always. Amen. Recite this tonight. Do not rush it. Do not analyze it. Do not carry anything else with you. Let Allah hold what you are ready to release. You do not need to quiet the storm. Allah already is. Hold silence